So today I'm gonna speak, and I will uh, make this video on a subject that is quite an unusual and divergent topic that usually I pick about the geopolitics, politics, uh, history, etc. So today, let me speak about the AI-led economy and the ramifications in our life, particularly the students of these days, how AI will change and how AI will change the whole uh, notions or the whole thinking uh, system behind us. Look, so to start with my own life, and which is pretty common with 90% of my generation, my classmate of my classes. So we, the IT slash technology people who started their life in most of the IT led companies way back, 20, 22 years ago, TCS, Infi, HCL Technologies, etc. Now, so when I got into HCL Technologies, I used to hear many, you know, management leadership calls, account centric calls to sales calls that then HCL Technology CEO, and still I recognize him as my CEO because he had that kind of X factor that I missed most of my uh, next company CEOs. So Vineet Nair, then HCL Technologies CEO, I mean, we got a trend indirectly by his version, saying that, look, please understand where TCS and Infosys are surpassing HCL Technologies. And I still recall it very categorically that Vineet used to tell the sales heads, the solution heads, that TCS and Infosys, they're closing the deals that has got 60% to 70% the components of those businesses are ADM, application development management, application service management, and maintenance, etc. Basically, so we need to grab the deal and we need to infuse and design a deal which is more ADM, which is more application centric, so that 2 years, 3 years down the line, we can claim IP and we can utilize it, reutilize it, slash utilize it without less cost. Because please understand, 2007, 2008, 2009, when we got into this IT companies, the IT industry was profitable, definitely, but IT industry slash BPO ITES industry, again, that's a debatable topic whether everything is IT enabled. But anyway, let's stick to the so-called, conventional legacy term that we have been using. The so those days IT companies grappling with, they were growing, 15%, 12% YOY, but it was not a it was not a non-linear growth. So basically, in order to achieve a 15% YOY growth, their headcounts needs to be 20% more. If 25% more profitable, or if you are growing, then your headcount will be, let's say, 20 to 25%. This non-linear growth, the big CEOs and big minds within IT industry, they want to crack it, they want to break it. And what we saw, and then when I joined Genpact, I saw in Genpact many of the, and these stories are important to many of the people to give a whole context. And in Genpact, many of the deals we saw a lot of IP enabled product that Genpact NPI, those old days we used to call this NPI, I'm forgetting, new product innovation or whatever. Some small cloud based product were infused in those multi services deal. And then I joined this SaaS industry, software product industry, because when we were IT slash, IT services marketer, we always thought, wow, product companies, they pay more salary and it is a better choice than typically IT industry. Actually, not. And sometimes yes, etc. But today, let's not talk about that. The problem with AI, the huge influx of AI, is that it's completely reshaping the whole delivery mechanism. It's completely uh, recreating the whole service delivery slash how it used to work. So first of all, if today you want to create a software company, AI enabled software company, unlike the 5 years ago or 7 years ago, a typically legacy based cloud software company, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, 80% of your cost is making was that application. So requirement of software engineer, requirement of a tester, requirement of a RDBMS engineer was in a full scale. But today, if at all you have a very solid business logic driven workflow is ready and you want to make that workflow turn into a software, and that has to be highly agentic AI driven, out of $100 if you invest, or 100 rupees if you invest per se, 90 to 95% of that cost is the infra cost, data center cost, GPU CPU cost, find the LLM, language training, data set, etc. Maybe at the max 5 to 10% of the whole of your cost of making that software is the application, because you no longer require a tons and tons of bunch and bunch of software engineers, application developer at all. For example, I am, and I'm not trying to make any AI enabled software for say, although I'm a computer science grad, but those 500 line, 700 line C, C++, Java coding never interested me. I used to feel, अरे क्या है यार, ददर coding किए जा रहे हैं, and so as a result of which I did my MBA and I got into the techno-commercial field. It's a technology. My domain is obviously technology, but I'm not a coder. So few months ago, I had a very solid business logic on enterprise ABM, account based marketing. I had a basic workflow ready. Because this is what I have been doing all through these years. So with zero code, I have created a very basic set of application and rule using Google AI Studio. So basically, if today you want to build a software company, you have a business logic in your mind, and that business logic has a high degree of demand, you don't require a tons and bunch of software guys at all. Basically, you could create something of your own. That's a fact. But will you be successful or not? That's a different thing. So basically, why I told all throughout the story is that last 20 years, our education system, last 20 years, our value system is very much making a software engineer for a company like TCS, Infosys, Cognizant, Wipro, HCL Technologies. That is completely ruined. Today, if you have a standard 9, 10, 11, 12 going kids in your home, you're a school teacher, do not enable them the way we used to be treated. We used to treat it earlier, joint centric studies. So in those days, pan India as well as in West Bengal, if you are getting into joint, if you able to crack joint entrance examination, got into any of the Jadavpur, Durgapur, REC, then it was not a NIT, Durgapur, REC, Shivpur, etc. engineering college, your life will be bed of roses. And that thought tremendously shattered. Today in AI world, I very with the utmost conviction I can say this: no knowledge, you are dependent on someone. That someone will come, they will teach you. For example, last week, and I use, Notebook LM, and I love Notebook LM. So 2025 was full of my usage of AI, and the most, I love Perplexity. I use Gemini 3. I use ChatGPT tremendously. Google AI Studio, I already named. But if I have to give any award to any AI tool, I will give it to Notebook LM. Last week, I created a video. What was the query of creating a video? Whole material is that, hey, Notebook LM, can you please mark my word, can you please create a whole video based on Burdwan University or University of Bardhaman philosophy syllabus on Advaita Vedanta? It took Notebook LM 7 to 8 minutes. It created a very compelling video based on Advaita Vedanta. What is Advaita Vedanta? The difference between, Vishishta Advaita Vad versus Advaitavad, Advaitavad versus Dvaitavad. What in a nutshell is that? A very, comprehensive, easy making video that usually a graduate student or a master's student in philosophy MA or philosophy BA course takes months and months of time to study and to get the whole nuance of it. So today, what I'm trying to say, today do we certainly require that hours and hours of study and the classes of making, the one avatar like a teacher who will come and guide us and teacher? We no longer require them. Please understand. So one thing is the compliance factor. For example, if I am treated to any clinic and doctor gives me the prescription, I will 200% make sure that I re-verify every medicine that he prescribed, whether this is a right kind of a medicine or not. And I tell this to my, my doctor. The doctor, I will check it. So one thing is that compliance factor. You won't have a certification until and unless you do a number of classes, unless and until you do this many number of lab classes from your university. These are the compliance factor. But the point I want to underscore is that, do we have a 100% dependency on any faculty or any professor or any teachers anymore in the days of AI? I'm making a big statement, and please understand, the objective of this video is not to denigrate those faculty members, those doctors who have studies, 10 years, 8 years, with the conventional mode of studies. The point rather I want to make it how to make good use of it. For example, for my home medicine, I use Tata 1 mg, right? You won't be able to order any medicine. For example, my wife is a, blood sugar patient, daily medication. My vitamin B level is low. Both of our vitamin D, which is pretty common across the globe as well as in India, So in order to add those medicine into cart, you require a certified doctor's prescription. That's a compliance issue. But today, if I perform a AI search that my sugar level is this to this, my current vitamin B level is that to that, my current vitamin D level is this to this, what kind of a medicine, regular basis I should use? Gemini, ChatGPT, Perplexity will do tremendous number of results, will give me much more authenticated result than any, gully ka, pathological center can give me. I'm sorry, but these are the facts. But in order to, to avail those medicines, either from any medicine shop or from Tata 1 mg kind of apps, you require the prescription from MBBS MD doctor. But the point is that, do I certainly remove the compliance? Do I certainly need today a dependencies on doctor on everything? I'm not talking about performing a surgery or any very, let's say level 3 cancer treatment kind of a thing. I'm not talking about that. But if my children got cold, We all know what kind of a medicine we need to do, and perhaps today I can perform a better search on Perplexity or Gemini 3.0, that what are the contingency, what are the new medicine has come into India. I have been using for my throat problem is azithral, etc. Is there anything other? Maybe I could do that. Now, in such a scenario, how you should train your children, how you should train today's engineers, today's graduates. First of all, don't force your children to get into or crack joint by any means here. Please. Don't waste lakhs and lakhs of rupees in engineering. Today, engineers, any stream, are the most vulnerable. Today, IIT Bombay cannot accommodate 80%, forget about 100, 80% of student into placement. Maybe till 2024, 2025, their computer science department students get consumed by, many companies. But maybe 2026, 2027 onwards, even IITs won't be able to, perform 100% placement of their computer science department student, because they are not in high demand. Today, the software engineers per se, Google may offer a $2 million, salary to a IIT engineer. But does it entail that 100% of the student got consumed by Google, Apple, blah, 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 blah? No, because they are not in high demand. So the basic point I want to make, that don't force your children to, अरे बाप रे engineer नहीं बना, doctor नहीं बना तो जिंदगी खराब है. When we were a student, getting into cracking, JEE was like achieving Amrita from the, churn. On top of that, if you crack medical and got into the Calcutta Medical College and Neil Ratan Medical College, baap re, you are next to Shiva, Vishnu, Maheshwar. And after doing everything, what are you supposed to do? You get into a multi-clinic in Bardhaman standard, you get into Khoshbagan, and your entire practice will degrade like anything. People will slap you, people will beat you. Advent or end of your career, you will build a nursing home, you will earn crores and crores of money. But does that make you a good doctor? What is the definition of a good doctor? If I ask you, according to your mind, who are good doctors? So you will probably say, well, Dr. Naresh Trehan, well, Dr. Devi Shetty. But will you say, I don't know many of the doctors, right? If I crack a lot of Bombay doctors, you won't get it. Let's say when we were growing in my mohalla, Pilkhana Guli, C.B. Chatterjee was a very renowned doctor. Dr. Aurobindo Konar, because my father used to consult with him, that's why I remember that name. I remember Sushanto Das, the gynecologist, right? But we are judging those doctors based on what? Based on the kind of a house they built in Bardhaman town, or the kind of a flat in Bombay they purchased in Worli or Bandra. Arey yaar, kya hai? Is Devi Shetty or Dr. Naresh Trehan known for that? Dr. Naresh Trehan is known for Vedanta. The kind of a chain of chain of hospital that they built. Dr. Devi Shetty Narayan Hrudayalaya. Not everybody can become a doctor like Dr. Devi Shetty or Dr. Naresh Trehan. But the point I want to make you, those days, only you will become a great doctor if you have to, pass out from this renowned institute, RG Kaur, Neil Ratan Sarkar, etc. But today, for a basic kind of a diseases, you certainly, if we have to go, because again, our parents will compel us. Don't act smart, go visit a doctor. You know everything, so you have to visit a doctor. Just for I have got a, skin disease. Do I certainly require a doctor? Very basic thing. Forget about technology side. But because a doctor, because a CA, there's a compliance involved. That's why you have to visit a doctor or a CA. For your taxes, for your company's taxes, etc. But to make a technology company, you don't require it. Hence, software engineers are the most vulnerable. Mechanical engineers, civil engineers has been vulnerable since ages. If I give you a statistics, last 10 to 15 years, India's government investment into India's infrastructure, bridges, road, dams, etc., quadrupled. This investment, has that entailed n number of civil engineer got job, mechanical engineers got job, electrical engineers got job? No. Maybe 2 to 3% more. The amount of investment happened in infrastructure by government of India, by public-private partnership, is historically high. So according to the investment, most of the civil engineers should have gotten a job. Most of the mechanical engineer, they are not getting job. Investment हो रहा है, साला job नहीं मिल रहा है. Similar thing happened in technology sector. The AI driven technology, they don't require the software engineers, computer science engineers. Hardly. So do not, if at all you are intelligent, you are getting well, do not force yourself, rather than enable this technology much earlier. Many parents I have seen, don't watch video games, don't watch mobile, don't watch TV, don't watch YouTube. Arey. If you can certainly monitor what kind of a content they see on YouTube, what kind of a content, what kind of a search they are performing on your Copilot or your Chat GPT, please enable them use it. Don't treat today's kid like we were treated. We were watching a movie of, Hema Malini and maybe, Rajesh Khanna. So those days, hero heroine were not kissed. In those sense, two roses pout each other, this is the way, or two pigeons were, that's the reason. I mean, what have India achieved all throughout these days? We were producing the most number of kids in this nation, 1.4 billion citizens. So the point I'm making, please, as early as possible, enable your children with most kind of a technology, and please monitor what they are searching. Are they searching any kind of a, bad content, obscene content? As long as they are not doing it, don't stop them. Please introduce this technology much earlier into their life so that they can turn to be whatever they want to do. Maybe, so please understand, our generation, the education system was making us to become the clerk of the world, the pan-India basis. Today, when I look back and I see how much the sec squared theta minus cot squared theta is equal to 1, or cosec squared theta minus cot squared theta is equal to 1, this formula I have used post my graduation, 0. Integral calculus, post my masters, 0. क्या दिया भाई? घंटों दर घंटों इंटीग्रल कैलकुलस, डिफरेंशियल कैलकुलस करके क्या मिला? That doesn't mean you don't need to learn this. Okay, if your kid is not able to learning, if your kid is very good in dancing, very good in telling story, he or she wants to be a YouTube content creator, because my daughter wants to be, that's what I'm saying. Please allow them to do that. Don't think this is not the right way to do. We used to do 5 hours mathematics per day. अरे क्या मिला यार मेरे को बता भाई, क्या मिला हम लोगों को? rather integral calculus की माँ बहन, differential calculus 3 copies we used to differential, this sheet, that sheet, क्या मिला? So our education system is full of fallacies. If you compare in the year 2025, end of April to middle of June, the usage of ChatGPT dropped like, it was a steep drop, usage of ChatGPT. You know why? The root cause was children in USA, they are not using ChatGPT as a part of their homework because this is a summer vacation time. Can you imagine how advanced they are? So again, what I'm trying to say is that the job losses has to be there. You really need, I don't have a panacea right now. I don't have a solution right now. What will make your job, your profession 100% secure? Today, teachers, they don't require anymore. If there are toddlers teachers, nursery teachers, maybe there is a requirement to teach toddlers A, B, C, D, or maybe there is a big software come, they will also no longer be required. They are also vulnerable. Today, tell me, English faculty, again, if I remove the compliance, today a Sanskrit PhD, they are trying to get into a college to teach students about Shakuntalam, Meghnad, etc., kind of a. Using notebook LM, I can create much better standard, better quality notes. We don't require 3 years graduation, 2 years post graduation, 3 years MPhil, 4 years PhD. So साला 10 plus 2 के बाद 3 plus 2 5 और 2 7 और 3 10. 10 years it requires to perform a master's and a PhD. I don't require astrophysicists to spend this much amount of time, because technology can very easily surpass human mind. How to use it, way to use it, do not restrain your children watching mobile, but yes, please keep a close eye what he or she is watching. Instead of saying, no, you are not supposed to touch my phone, or only 2 hours. If at all you have confined your children with 2 hours of usage of mobile, what he or she is doing. In my family, the changes has happened. My son used to perform a lot of searches on Google. He stopped it. Entire family, we stopped it. Today, no one searches on Google. I really certainly don't recall when last time. Last I searches India, South Africa 2020 matches were on. What is the live score? I could have done this using, AI as well. But, my old habit. So, today, every job, every profession is highly, highly vulnerable until and unless there is a compliance involved in it. So, there has to be a district magistrate to do matobbori over everyone. There has to be a doctor who should certify to get your blood test. These are the compliance. So, there has to be a CS stamp in order to do auditing. That will also, no one knows, will be gone. So please make sure you teach your children those education that will be sustainable for long term. For example, how to handle money. We were never taught. Invoke the entrepreneurship from standard 6, standard 7, standard 8. We Bengalis hardly were very close to that. We were taught by the communist guy. I won't bring politics at all, please. But we were taught that all entrepreneurs, all businessmen are cheaters. So get out of that zone. Don't force your children. If tomorrow he or she doesn't become a software engineer, his life will be. Mark my word, every profession is vulnerable today. And you have to keep a mindset that today maybe I am doing dancing, tomorrow I can be a lecturer in dance on somewhere. Day after tomorrow I may teach someone painting. Overmorrow I can be a faculty member in astrophysics. That has to be the flexibility, rather than once I am a master in this subject, I am a master. Gone are those days, my dear friends. I hope you will agree or disagree with me. Please post your comments. Thank you.